well, I'm here with Larry at the TechCrunch Studios, and they're nice enough to let us use their space to do these awesome videos.
Love them.
Yes, thank you, TechCrunch. And we're going to talk a little bit about mentorship. And Larry, do you have any tips on how a person can approach somebody to be their mentor, just if you're just starting out there in the tech space? What's the best things to do just to approach somebody in the beginning?
I love mentorship. I devote an entire chapter in the book on mentorship. It's my chapter 5 on mentorship. My book is actually an homage to my mentor, Mark McCormack, because he wrote the book, What They Don't Teach at Harvard.
So like a little H there instead of an S.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And everything is supposed to meant to pay homage to him. He passed away in 2003. He wrote his book in 1983. So
that's when I was born.
Where it's an awesome book. Do you like how I just glossed right over that? It's an awesome book. In mentorship, first couple of things out of the gates. One is to, if you're going to network the idea to learn 1 or 2 or 3 things at a party. Okay. Just get you practice into learning things. 2 is follow up on the mentorship leads that you get. Chapter 4 is on networking, and I think networking has a dirty connotation to it. But if you're networking to mentor up and to learn more, that gives you also a reason to network at a party that you weren't necessarily invited to.
Yes, and how do you know who you should approach for mentorship before you even approach? Like, say that we're networking, how do I know who would make a good mentor for me?
Sure.
How do I get that information?
One of the best ways to do it, since, before when I was networking for a mentor, I didn't have a Google search engine in my pocket, which now I do. So if you pre-read, and it's especially illegal before you go to an event, you pre-read, pre-prepare, and pre-network that event. That way when you do meet that mentor, you're ready. And there's this quote that I've always loved. It's whenever the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Whenever the student is ready.
Great. Do you know who that's by?
I think it's like Plato or Socrates.
Yeah, no, that's a great
awesome
that's a great quote.
Thanks.
So once I know it is good. What I do is I tweet other people that are going to be at the party that are interesting, or I find them on Facebook, or just say, hey, I'm looking forward to meet you. So once you actually figure out who your mentor is, what's the best way to ask them to be your mentor? Because I know it's not that easy because it's a big commitment for somebody to be your mentor.
It is. And just like with dating, you don't want to ask. I know, right? You don't want to ask initially, hey, do you want to go steady? It's always you accidentally back into it, where before they know it, you're their mentor. And I think that there's a cadence and a tempo to the exchange of information, and you got to follow up, and you have to compensate. Now, I'm not talking about a cash compensation. I'm talking about a reciprocity of, hey, I applied what you learned. Now I'm going to show you I appreciate you by this. It has to be a public recognition sometimes. It has to be a personal recognition with maybe a gift or a something that shows, hey, I really appreciate your time, and then you get the momentum moving forward from those things.
And how often should you contact your mentor? How often? Because you don't want to do it every day. So how often should one contact their mentor?
It depends on how much. It depends on how quickly you're executing the homework that they give you. So if they're giving you a half a dozen things, the cadence and tempo of it leans towards maybe once or twice a month. But they're going to look for check-ins, not the Foursquare Goala kind of check-ins or Facebook Places.
Mentor check-ins.
Mentor check-ins. Maybe that could be a new app for somebody.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And the last question I would want to ask you is it mentorship different for women versus men? Is it more difficult for a woman to find a female mentor than for a male to find a male mentor?
We should almost use that as a preview into like a next video.
I know.
But yeah, there are some interesting dynamics. I have studied mentorship. That being said, there is a difference when a man mentors a man. There's a difference between a woman mentoring a woman. There's a difference between a woman mentoring a man and a man getting mentored by a woman. So there's those 4 different dynamics.
Well, we could talk about them in the next segment.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, Larry.
Sure. Thank you.